points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
A hearty congratulations to yours truly, to Dave Minuk, to Ezra Ginsburg. Gentlemen, we've accomplished something. We had as many shots on goal tonight as Mark Scheifele. Combined, we had as many shots on goal tonight as Mark Scheifele. I am honored to be in such heady company as the three of you. The only difference is we're not fighting for our playoff lives, and the Winnipeg Jets are. Good evening, Winnipeg.
You also don't make $6 million a year.
That too. That's the other difference.
Dave and I don't.
Something
but
else.
You do.
I knew there was something else that I couldn't quite put my finger on, but that's it. We're not professional hockey players who are making $6 million a year. That's the other thing I couldn't quite wrap my brain around.
That's why I'm here, Drew. I'm here to refresh your memory. I'm here to provide some backup commentary. That's why I'm here.
I appreciate it, Ezzy. Thanks for
continue your intro. Let's finish that intro.
Thank you. Yeah, then now let's go with the intro. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. We're here to discuss the Winnipeg Jets, an inexcusable defeat at the hands of the St. Louis Blues by a 3-0 margin. A game that the Winnipeg...
Wait, Drew. I'm only here to discuss the Moose win in Chicago.
Well, then you're going to be a little while. We got to get through the Jets game first.
Sorry.
And this isn't, look, this is
Lasai.
Yeah, the sigh, is that what you just said? The sigh, yeah. This was pathetic. I mean, this was just pathetic. I don't know how anybody in the Winnipeg Jets True North organization can watch this and say this can go on any longer than the 11 games that are remaining in this regular season, plus the playoffs if they get to the playoffs. I just don't know how anybody can watch this tonight and say it's good enough. Because I know it's not good enough. Dave, you know it's not good enough. Ezzy, you know it's not good enough. It's enough. Period. This team has gone as far as they can. I'm not going to question the professionalism of the players. I don't doubt that they know that they need to be better and that they need to do more. But pardon the cliche, folks, it's results-oriented business. And yesterday, by the hair on their chinny chin, they escaped out of Nashville and got a win. By the way, Nashville was losing last I saw tonight. I think it was 7-0 is what they lost to the New York Rangers. A Jets team barely squeaked past them in overtime, and Nashville lost 7-0, and I'm pretty sure it was 6-0 in the first period.
It was.
So you go to St. Louis. Calgary lost in overtime last night. You're in a playoff spot. You need a good effort. You need a good result. You need to win 4 points this weekend. And this is the performance you put forth against the St. Louis Blues team that has been done for so many weeks now. It's just inexcusable, and you can't sell this bill of goods any further. And that's just the long and the short of it. And I know it's not fantasy hockey like the general manager liked to remind us a few weeks ago, but this isn't good enough. You can't sell this to the paying public anymore as satisfactory product.
Drew, I would rather watch you watch Cocaine Bear than watch the hockey that I just watched, because that was, first off, I mean, you're right. I mean, and the thing is, like, I'll admit, I didn't watch most of the game yesterday. I was with my kids at Fun Park. It was a lot of fun. It was. I'm sure you've gone there.
Believable, just a little bit more believable.
But I caught some of the game, and you're right. I mean, the Jets could have easily lost that game, right? Like, it was a comeback win, and you love the fact that Ehlers got the goal, Lowry, tied it up, and Neil Pionk, who, it's been well documented on this show and other shows that Pionk hasn't had the best season, right? Mm-hmm. So that was a big win. So you're thinking they're going to carry that over. And another thing too, if a Nick Ehlers fight can't get the Jets motivated and back into this game, like what's it going to take here? And I'm with you. Like the two penalties that were taken by Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler, two leaders on your team. Forget the fact that Wheeler doesn't have the C or even an A anymore. I mean, these are the leaders, the core veterans on your team. Like the penalty by Scheifele is just a lazy penalty, period. In the defensive zone. Like it's just a lazy penalty by a guy who, just looks like he's not engaged in the game. Like where was Mark Scheifele tonight? You mentioned no shots. Just like it's kind of mind-boggling, guys, because yes, you have other players on this team that can produce offense and that can get the job done. But Mark Scheifele's right at the top of the list, along with Wheeler and Kyle Connor and Nick Ehlers. So, we talked about it on yesterday morning show. The power play continues to struggle. Dave, pointed it out on Twitter. It's just 0-4. Like they just can't score on the power play. When Torrey Krug, by the way, I don't know if he's, I don't know if he's okay or what's going on off the ice, but I'm not sure why Torrey Krug decided I had Ruben beside me watching this game. Or pardon me, it was actually Ariella. I obviously don't know which kid is which.
You're eating a Reuben while watching the game next to Ariella.
Ariella's sitting beside me, and she's going, "Daddy, why does that guy keep hitting the stick on the glass?" And I'm like, I honestly don't know. So, like, the Jets are gifted a 4-minute power play, Dave. Let's get Dave M in here. We're almost 7 minutes in, and Dave M hasn't said a word, and he's the loquacious one. But, you're thinking, Dave, like, a 4-minute power play late in the first period, the Jets are going to pop in a couple goals here, or at least a goal. And it was terrible. Like it was just brutal. Like they had a few chances. Nick Ehlers had a shot from kind of the top of the face-off circle that I remember. Morrissey was trying to get pucks through to be tipped, but that 4-minute power play, Dave, it actually, not only did they not score a goal, it seemed like it took momentum away from them.
Look, I mean, guys, the power play is pathetic. 4 games now, and we said this before we got rolling, but you can throw out the game against Boston. They've got the best penalty kill in the NHL. They're the best team in the NHL. So you go 0-5 against the Bruins. Okay, you can forgive that. But you didn't score against Carolina. You didn't score against, hold on, who am I forgetting? Obviously you didn't score against St. Louis. You didn't score against Nashville.
Yeah, it was
0-4 against Nashville.
It was 0-4.
But Desi's right. I mean, look, that 4-minute, that was all the momentum in the game.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was the opportunity to build back up. And the Jets just didn't take advantage, and they just didn't have it. And guys, I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time. I mean, this is, it's not. There's no movement. It's slow. I mean, all we hear about in the Jets practice is, oh, they're crisp. They're moving it around. They're firing around. They're not stopping. Da, 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 da. I mean, Kevin Sawyer talked about it on the broadcast. He said basically they're all individuals out there. They're not really moving. They're staying in their own spaces, and they're not really moving around. And there's no speed. So that's number one. That's not so good. And I cannot fathom, and I guess we could ask Rick Bowness when they're back in town, why is it he refuses to go back to Pierre-Luc Dubois, Kyle Connor, and Nikolai Ehlers? We talked about it on yesterday's show. We talked about it on the post-game show. We talked about the muscle memory. We looked at the advanced stats, Drew. You don't need to go over them again. I'm sure everybody who's in the chat and who's fired up about it right now, they were there yesterday. But suffice it to say, that line was dominant. They were dominant across the NHL. That was a dominant line for the Winnipeg Jets. What do you need right now for the Winnipeg Jets who cannot score a goal? You need a dominant line.
Yeah.
And Ehlers, Connor, I don't care if Connor's dealing with whatever he's dealing with.
And it was Dubois,
Ehlers, Connor, and Dubois.
Niederreiter, right, Dave? Like that was the line that Rick Bowness started the third period with. I don't know if that was the first line out there.
But no, he started that because Ehlers was in the penalty box still.
Oh, right. Okay, that's a good point.
But the point is they never went to it.
No.
The point is they never went to it. When you're down 1-0, when you're down 2-0, when you're down 3-0, and you never go to the line that had success. I tweeted about it. I mean, it's borderline coaching malpractice. And that's a line that I pulled out, I think, last year in discussing Dave Lowry. And Dave Lowry was over his head as an NHL head coach. He wasn't suited for the job.
Are you talking about when Zach Sanford started overtime?
I was talking about any number of instances in that case. I don't need to rehash Dave Lowry's coaching job, but this is poor by Rick Bowness. It's just poor to not put that line together when you need offense. I don't know what his reasoning is. I don't understand. You
Dubois has
need
been
to
out of the
score.
lineup a little bit, maybe,
No,
but
but it's been longer than that. I mean, it's been
yeah.
longer than that.
No, you're
You know,
right. This has been a season-long thing. Yeah.
To not go to that line tonight at some point in time, or yesterday when you were struggling and barely pulled off a victory against a Nashville Predators team, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, look, you mentioned Torrey Krug. Krug was out of the game for the last 45 minutes of this game. He's not a bit player on the St. Louis Blues.
He's one of their two best defensemen, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's not like behind Krug, there's an overwhelming level of talent stepping up to fill that role. They have some nice pieces on their back end. They have some veteran guys still on their back end, but the Jets, that's an advantage. A player on the opposition loses control, gets kicked out of the game, and do the Jets take advantage of it? No. I mean, Mark Scheifele's performance tonight was inexcusable.
Mm-hmm.
To not generate a shot on goal in this game when your team needs you the most,
and to take a defensive zone penalty, I really think that really can't be. I mean,
Sure.
I'm not going to overblow this, but you watched Scheifele 5 to 10 seconds prior to that penalty being taken, and he's kind of lollygagging in his own zone, and you're down 2-0 when you're trying to hold on to the last wild card spot, right? So I agree with you. Scheifele was not good enough tonight.
Where is the professional pride from Mark Scheifele? Where is the professional pride from Mark Scheifele? I'm going to give Blake Wheeler a pass because Blake Wheeler just doesn't have it anymore. Blake Wheeler is at the back end of his career, a wonderful career in the NHL. But to rely on Blake Wheeler to be the driver and the catalyst and everything else, now you don't want him taking bad penalties. So he should have to own up for that. But he's not going to be the one who's going to carry the team on their back anymore. That has to be Mark Scheifele. And he doesn't do it. He doesn't do it. For all the big game he has talked in the last number of years about wanting to be mentioned in the same breath as the upper echelon of players in the NHL, his actions do not reflect his words at all. They do not.
Mark Scheifele is a great offensive player.
But he's not even a great offensive player anymore. In spurts.
Well, Dave,
great offensive
Drew, he's got 37 goals. I know that puts him top 10 in the league, right?
He needs to, but when has he carried the team through a malaise?
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that if you want me to sum up, let's not mince words here. I mean, he's a good he's a great offensive player who's terrible defensively, and I think you can question his desire.
Yeah.
Right. A guy who wants to lead his. First off, I don't think he's a great leader. I think Adam Lowry's a great leader. I think Josh Morrissey's a great leader.
When
people in the chat can disagree with me, but I don't know what has Mark Scheifele done aside from scoring goals that makes him a great leader.
When has he carried the team and said, it hasn't been since 17-18. He was great. He was a dominant force in the playoffs in 17-18.
Mm-hmm.
That was 5 years ago.
What have you done for me lately, Drew?
Well, it's true though, Dave.
Of course, Drew. How many times have we heard the expression, it's a results-based business?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact of the matter is you don't get to, I'm going to quote Al Bundy again, you don't get to go and say, well, I scored 4 touchdowns for Polk High back in the day. That's my claim to glory. It's
you can make as many Al Bundy references as you want. One of the best TV characters of all time, Dave.
Well, I'm always going to go for an Ed O'Neill reference if I can. But the fact of the matter is that and again, look, this isn't just on Mark Scheifele. I mean, again, we're looking at Kyle Connor and we're saying, where is Kyle Connor gone? I mean, it's time to put a picture of Kyle Connor on a milk carton and say he's missing because, right. And that to me, those are your upper echelon guys. Those are the guys look, Adam Lowry scores his second goal in 45 games or whatever it was yesterday. That's great. But we've talked about what at the end of the day, when this team needs to have some guys put it on on their back, who is it going to be? And it needs to be 55. It needs to be 81. It needs to be 27 from a forward perspective. I'm talking about, we could obviously talk about the defensemen. We know who those guys are.
Right.
And we know that 37 is the primary carrier of this team at the, throughout the course of since he's become the starter back in 15-16, or become a full-time NHLer, I should say, at 15-16. But for me, yeah, it absolutely begins and ends with those guys. And again, Rick Bowness's reliance on Blake Wheeler on the power play.
Yeah,
it's inexplicable to me. I mean, like I said, when you're not, it's funny. Like I don't know who said it the other day, but it was like this idea of hollow victories, and these words that have no meaning.
It was 17. It was Lowry.
What's that, Eddie?
You were asking who, you didn't remember who said the hollow victory.
Oh, yes.
Comment.
Yes,
it was Lowry.
It was Adam Lowry. Yeah, you're right. But my point is,
who I thought was one of the better Jet forwards tonight again, right? Like he tied the game yesterday. And that's what I'm saying. Like his actions, Ehlers to me is a better leader than Scheifele. Honestly, like he's trying to get his team fired up. He's trying to create
he's got to stop with the acting though. He does a little too much acting on the ice. He's looking for like an Oscar.
Well, that's just a side gig. Hockey's still his number one thing.
But look, at least Ehlers, I agree, Dave. He took the cross check. But at least he got up with a burr in his saddle.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and again, like I said, he went after Schenn, and Schenn's tough. And Schenn kicked his ass, to be honest with you. But like, at least Ehlers, it was funny because originally my tweet was going to be something along the lines of, don't make Nikolai Ehlers bleed his own blood. You don't want to see Nikolai Ehlers get angry. Schenn kicked his ass, but I mean, at the end of the day, you want to see the guy at least. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But at the same time, like, look, I tweeted this. I said, if that doesn't get this team going, you got one of the smallest guys on your team, but at least he's showing some heart. At least he's saying, like, let's get in this fight, literally. And yet, it's like wah, wah.
Dave, look at the guys who scored goals. Like Australians are beating the Jets now. Obviously, I'm joking. Nathan Walker is a good little spark plug hockey player from Wales, grew up in Australia, right? But look at the guys who scored the goals. Kasperi Kapanen was claimed off waivers.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm not diminishing what these guys are doing. I'm just saying, like the leaders of this team can't put the puck in the net, and the guys that are scoring, are like it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable how much they are struggling. Like, yeah, you look at the advanced stats and you look at the shot volume and everything like that. Like, Nashville didn't put a lot of rubber on Connor Hellebuyck, and neither did the Blues tonight. Like, yeah, I remember the first period, Jordan Kyrou had a really good chance. Hellebuyck made a glove save. Like, but it's not like the Blues had 17 high danger chances in this game, right? Like this is a game where, again, the Jets had their power play opportunities. They didn't do a lot about it with it, but the majority of the game was played at 5-on-5. And as Drew mentioned, the three guys that were so dominant, through the first 20 to 30 games of the season for you, they're not put together, and you just don't have anybody really producing enough offensively, right? So, I mean, now you're in a position where Calgary plays LA tomorrow and they play Anaheim on Tuesday. Calgary has a game in hand. They could actually be tied with the Jets that would, I guess, mean the Jets wouldn't win on Tuesday night. But the point is, they can move within 2 points of the Jets by winning against LA on Monday.
Well, look, if you had to say based on the recent play of each team, Calgary will overtake the Jets. I mean, you just look at how they play. They're not getting necessarily the same results as the Jets, but they're playing a harder game, and they're more engaged than the Winnipeg. I mean, it's the lack of give a shit that is almost as concerning as the result tonight.
Yep, I would agree with that.
It's the satisfaction, or it's just the going through the motions. Like, that third period starts. Where's the push? Where's the push?
Well, also during the first 4 or 5 minutes, or maybe not 4 or 5 minutes, but the first 2 or 3 minutes, Jets had the first 5 shots, Dave, if I'm not mistaken. Right? It started with the Lowry line, started it off. And, it looked like, the Jets, had they were doing all of the right things, as Drew says, the tired cliche. The process was good.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kasperi Kapanen scores, and it's like all of a sudden, the Jets, they weren't generating a lot of offense for the majority of the first period, right? So, I mean, it's a fragile team right now for sure, but there's fragility, and then there's lack of effort and carrying. And I don't want to hear about all of the Jets badly outshot the Blues and everything like that. Like, how many really good chances did this team have, especially on the power play? Like, it was one of the most disappointing losses of the year, I would say.
I think it's up at the top of my list for just because of the importance, Ezzy. Because of the importance of tonight's game. You know, there's been other losses that are bad this year, but none that were so disheartening. That's the word I would use regarding the Jets' performance tonight, is disheartening. Where was the care? Where was the effort? Where was the demand on where was the demand to be better? It wasn't there from the vast majority of the team's players and the highest paid players on this team. You know, Adam Lowry is going to give you the Adam Lowry effort. But Adam Lowry, as we've talked about, is a fourth line player on a good NHL team. But he gives you the effort. I mean, the guys at the bottom of the roster, and I see people in the chat saying, well, you guys are only focusing on the top of the roster. Well, the guys on the bottom of the roster are limited in their talent.
How much? Hold on. If we're really expecting more offense out of Saku Maenalainen or Kevin Stenlund, then we really have a bigger problem here.
Well, I mean, it's just not fair to say that, you know, you need more. Sure, you need more from the bottom of your line, but they're limited. They don't have more to give you. They give you a solid effort, and that's, you know, you can never say that, you know, Lowry and Stenlund and Barron and, you know, those guys and Maenalainen aren't, you know, giving you what they can. They just are limited in what they can do.
Right, and Kyle Connor, like I mean. Again, I didn't watch most of the game yesterday, but tonight, like, I thought he was pretty good. Like, you know, but again, pretty good is not going to cut it at this point. And the thing is, Drew, too, like, I still think the Jets will hang on to the last wild card spot. Maybe that's just blind faith. I don't know what it is.
Blind faith. I don't know what you're basing that on, my friend.
If they do get into the playoffs, how many people think that the Jets are going to beat Vegas or Colorado or Dallas or Minnesota in a first round series? Like, the only way it'll happen is if Hellebuck is amazing. And obviously, you know, all of the other things have to be there too, right? Like, you have to get depth scoring and everything like that. But to me, that's the biggest concern. It's like, what is the ceiling for this year's team? Like, if they make the playoffs, like, I don't see this team flipping a switch and all of a sudden going on a miraculous 2018 run.
There's no reason to believe it, Dave.
Sure, you have to read that comment because that's one of our sponsors, by the way. Hi, Frank.
Our buddy Frank Zappia is in the chat, of course. Frank of Zappia Group Realty. Him and his brother Mauro, big Jets fans, big fans of Illegal Curve, proud sponsors of the show.
Well, Mauro's actually an Oilers fan first and foremost, but he likes the Jets too.
Frank says they need to spread out the offense and put grit on every line. The lack of fight has to change on each line.
100% right, Frank. And I'm not just saying that because Frank's a sponsor.
You know, Dave, I mean, I just don't know what's left to believe in this team. You know, you know, every team goes through some doldrums. Right. Every team goes through some. We've got all the Zappias here. Dom Zappia is here as well. I think a cousin to Frank and Mauro, of course.
No, brother.
You know, what's that?
Brother.
Oh, okay. There you go. You knew more than I do there, Ezzy. But you know, you just go up and down, and I just don't know what's left to grasp onto that says they're going to pull out of this.
Well, I mean, that's the $64,000 question, and when I account for inflation, Drew, that's the $5 million question right now. Because look, what has this team shown since Game 30? This was Game 71. We're 41 games through mediocrity right now, and this team hasn't shown that the only thing this team has been consistent as is that they're inconsistent.
But they're not even inconsistent anymore. They've been consistently bad for the last 40 games.
Well, that's fair. But I mean, they've won occasionally is what I'm saying. Right. They've interspersed some losses with wins, you know, even if it's one for every two. But the fact of the matter is that this Jets team just, they don't have the answers. They just don't have the answers. And, it's you know, and again, nobody wants to hear the tired cliches. We played well. We played well. We played well. That's great. Tell yourself you played well when you're golfing because, you know, you played well, but you didn't win enough games to get into the playoffs and do some damage. Look, you may get into the playoffs. I'm not suggesting this team's going to win the Stanley Cup, but I think the Connor Hellebuck is good to win you around. And it also depends on the matchups and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is, right now, this team is just, and again, Rick Bowness, we've said this. I don't care how many years you've been in the NHL, whether you're a first-year NHL coach or whether you've been in the league for 50 years. You're open to criticism. Nobody is infallible. I mean, Scotty Bowman is as close to as infallible as you can get, you know, because he won so many Stanley Cups. But the fact of the matter is, and Rick Bowness himself said this, right? He said this, you know, and I thought it was an interesting quote. I don't remember if it was in training camp, But he said something about how he needed to get better every day because he's never what does he want? He's never won a Stanley Cup. And the fact of the matter is, so it means that Rick Bowness's decisions can be criticized. Again, he's a head coach. He's got a lot of experience. We're doing it in a respectful manner. But the fact of the matter is, you can call into question the decisions. And to me, right now, his lack of desire to change the power play is extremely questionable. His lack of desire to put back the one line that you knew, like I said, when we were talking about that 30-game block, when you were getting lots of goals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are the Jets not doing right now, boys? They're not scoring goals. Every once in a while, they'll have an offensive outbreak against the Oilers. Well, you had an offensive outbreak against the Oilers against, I don't know if you saw the chart of the worst goaltenders in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
Well,
Jack Campbell,
Soupy was on that list. So the fact of the matter is, you scored 7 goals. Yes, great, wonderful. But you did it against the goaltender who had no confidence. And the Oilers, after that game, left him at home to kind of try and regain things. So the fact of the matter is, you're not scoring goals. You refuse to go back to a line that actually had some success. I don't know the rationale, and you're not changing the power play. And even the other question also, boys, and Ezzy, I think you probably agree. You have this quote deep bench, and I'm not saying that Axel Jonsson-Fjällby is going to come in and score, 4 hat tricks and win the game for you. But maybe if you needed a little energy,
or Carson Kuhlman, right?
But I mean, Axel Jonsson-Fjällby at least had some success in the sense that he was feeling good about his game with the Moose, came up, had some success. Why not on a back-to-back? Even if you want to say you controlled the play and you had the better chances, you had the more shots, you possessed the puck more. It would have been an opportunity, I think, to at least get someone with some fresh legs and maybe give your group some jump. Because this team just doesn't have jump. So there's a lot that is lacking. And again, it's top to bottom, and it starts with the coaching staff, and it goes right down through all the players. I mean, this is a team loss. I mean, the team is losing as a collective group. We're not hanging this on Mark Scheifele alone. Mark Scheifele, because, I mean, remember, Mark Scheifele wants to be the top paid player on this team.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be the top paid player on the team, then you need to produce. He's not going to, no offense, but Mark Scheifele is not going to receive the same sort of, slings and arrows as Carson Kuhlman if he was playing, when there's a big disparity there.
Right.
So ultimately, Mark Scheifele will wear more of this, and look at the ice time for the first liners versus the fourth liners. I mean, it's a big disparity.
I thought his defensive coverage was great on the first goal.
Mark Scheifele played 21 minutes and 10 seconds tonight.
Yeah.
Nikolai Ehlers played 12 minutes. 12 minutes and 54 seconds. If you had to tell me which one of those two players was more noticeable, and both of those guys are guys that
Ehlers was far better than Scheifele.
Far better.
Hey guys, remember when Scheifele was benched?
Yeah, it was 2 games ago.
and that was the effort you got in this game.
Well, that's the part that just doesn't make any sense. It's just that there's
and again, I'm not attacking Scheifele's character. I don't know what's, if he's dealing with something off the ice. I have no idea. I am not in the dressing room. I'm not around the team. I watch these games in my River Heights basement. Okay. Yeah. But look at all the other people in the chat. You don't see a lot of people disagreeing with us, do you?
Well, because it's hard to.
By the way, was Alex Jones from? Is that the Alex Jones? I hope it's not the Alex
Jones
from Infowars.
Infowars.com.
I just saw Alex Jones was blocked. I got a little bit nervous there. That guy really scares me. But
he gone, Ezzy. Don't worry, I got
my eye on him. Get him out. I just think it's unbelievable that. I mean, the Jets couldn't score a goal in one of the most important games of the year. And again, you could really flip a coin whether it's going to be the Jets or the Flames. Obviously, I think the Predators losing yesterday and then losing 7-0 to the Rangers, they're done. As Dave likes to say, like the fat lady is sung, right? But
I don't think I say that anymore, but okay.
Whatever you want to say.
That would be more, Ezzy. That'd be more of a dear mama. That'd be more of a dear mama.
Sure, it's yeah, there you go. But it's between the Jets and the Flames for that last wild card spot, right? Yeah. But again, Dave is right. I mean, it's a team loss, and Hellebuck was fine. I mean, I don't think you're going to fault his performance at all tonight. And it's just again, the leaders. No, I mean,
it was bad. It was bad defensive.
Yeah, I didn't think Pierre-Luc Dubois had his best game. I mean, he was great in the faceoff circle, but who cares about that?
Well, I mean, look, when you can't score a goal. I mean, that's all that matters. You just can't score a goal. And Kyle Connor had 2 shots on goal, and I think one of them came very late in the game, if I'm not mistaken. So he really went the vast majority of the game getting 1 shot on goal. Pierre-Luc Dubois had 1 shot on goal. Mark Scheifele, as we talked about, had 0 shots on goal. Ehlers at least had 3 shots on goal. He was at least, and you could see the frustration was building up in him. He just started shooting from pretty much anywhere because he's like, that's what we got to do. That's how
I got to back you up here just to further illustrate your point.
Yeah.
Even strength Corsi for who's number 1 on the Jets? Ehlers, 85.
Well, because
12 minutes. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Again, the numbers back this up here. Rick Bowness's usage of Ehlers is bordering on absurd.
Borderline coaching malpractice. It's a band. It's my band. I've decided to start a band named Borderline Coaching Malpractice. I'm going to have a lot of time from about the middle of April onward, so I might as well get into the music industry.
People in Denmark are going to love us. Like we throw so much love to Ehlers. The Ehlers family's got to be loving it.
But it's just you watch the game. We watch the game on TV. The guys are, the coaching staff is watching the game from behind the bench. You're watching the 2 performances. You're watching the performance of Ehlers. You're watching the performance of Scheifele. How are you continuing to tap Scheifele on the shoulder and saying, get back out there. You're doing such a great job with what you've been doing. They haven't been, his performance tonight, and I know I'm getting, worked up. That performance is inexcusable, especially coming 48 hours or 2 games after you got benched. To come back with that, where is the demand on yourself to be better? Has he checked out again? It wasn't that long ago in the offseason where everyone expected that he was going to be traded. In my opinion, it's time to revisit that again this coming offseason, no matter what happens the rest of the season. I don't know how you can just trot these guys back out of here again.
Unless they win the Stanley Cup, right?
Well, come on,
I know, I'm joking
unless
here,
I grow hair again. It's not going to happen.
Look, I think everyone agrees that effort by the Jets was not good enough. And I think that the effort by some of the Jets' best veteran core players was not good enough tonight. And, even though your schedule is going to get easier here, right? Arizona, Anaheim, it's not a guarantee you're going to beat these teams, guys.
This effort isn't going to have you beating teams,
I'm pretty sure easily. Arizona's on a bit of a heater too. I think they've won. I think Arizona's on a bit of a heater. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure
it usually starts to get hotter in Arizona this time of year.
Yeah, I was going to say
usually gets into the
in their last 10.
Low.
I don't care who the Jets are. I don't care who the Jets are playing.
I'm just saying you're playing a team that's playing well.
If you play like you play tonight, you're not going to win. You're just not. I don't care who you're playing in this league. You just can't come out with this effort and expect to win. And it's one thing to start slow, which, by the way, the Jets didn't do. They had a pretty good first 5 minutes. Then, of course, they gave up a goal, which we'll get into. Might as well start it off now. We were already 33 minutes into the podcast.
Are you sure, Drew? This could be the longest preamble of all time.
Yeah, and listen,
we'll get into it.
Kitty Pup, Drew. There's still hope.
Thank you, Kitty Pup. I appreciate the Hair Club for Men. All of a sudden, I'm going to show up with a beautiful, long, flowing wig, and you guys can all start calling me Fabio.
Bald is beautiful, by the way.
Hey, look, the best decision I ever made, aside from marrying my wife, having kids, blah blah blah, is when I finally gave up on the dream that I wasn't bald and I went with the head shave. That was the best decision I ever made. That was a COVID decision, and I thank COVID for that.
And Drew,
for showing me the light.
Just to help you out even more. Big Daddy's starting to get a little bit bigger of a bald spot, by the way. So,
you're a hat wearer. That's the difference. I don't wear hats.
I don't wear hats as much as Dave M does. I think Dave M showers with his hat on.
You're both wearing hats indoors right now. That is such a fashion and
I have to rep the pig. Come on, man.
You don't have to rep anything. You're in your basement. You're wearing sweatpants. Otherwise, I can assure you.
I'm not wearing pants.
Oh, there you go. Fair enough. You're not wearing pants.
What are you talking about? I'm letting the boys breathe right now, Drew.
The Betway game recap is brought to you by Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront with a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. As I mentioned, the Jets, they started well. They started, the first 5 minutes, they were badly out shooting St. Louis. You liked how they were playing. similar to what you saw yesterday in Nashville, and that's how you wanted to see them start the game. Of course, then, for a team like the Winnipeg Jets, where whatever bad is going to happen to them. Kasperi Kapanen opens the scoring at the 4:04 mark of the first period. His assist to Nick Leddy on this one, and it's 1-0 St. Louis early in the contest. Again, it's a broken play that ends up in the back of the net. We saw it happen yesterday in Nashville. But what is the Jets' response going to be, But you can talk about the goal first.
Well, Josh Morrissey, I wasn't sure what he was doing on this play here. I'm not sure what the forwards were doing on this play. Like, the Jets have 5 players back here, right? Like, there's 3 forwards and 2 defensemen back. And, Alexei Toropchenko is the one who starts the play on the rush here, and Blake Wheeler's kind of chasing him around. And then the point shot comes in. There's a rebound. Then it comes back to who's the defenseman? I forget who the defenseman was that it came back to. Maybe you guys can back me up here, but and there was a rebound, and Kasperi Kapanen's wide open, right? So, like, it's just again, the Jets are scrambling around in their own zone, and it just seemed like the Jets didn't know it was Nick Leddy who had the point shot, and the rebound went to Kasperi Kapanen. But Sandberg was the other defenseman out there. Blake Wheeler, I remember, was out there. Like, it was terrible defensive coverage. The Jets are just scrambling around. And Connor Hellebuyck, how is he going to make that save when the puck is going the other way, right? Like, he has to move, and Kapanen is completely wide open, right? So just terrible defensive coverage. Like, and how many times have we talked about this again and again, right? Like, yeah, it's mind-boggling sometimes. Like, it's almost like, some of the players don't know who they're supposed to take or what they're supposed to do, and that's a huge problem.
Craig Button really illustrated it well, Dave, during the intermission about Mark Scheifele's play on this, and just the lackadaisical effort that he displays here, where there is just no demand on his part to get back and prevent this from happening. And when you don't think it's going to be an opportunity, but when you're not doing what you need to do to make sure it's not an opportunity, that's when it turns into an opportunity. And the Blues make no mistake on this one, Dave.
No, I mean, and again, it's soft defensive coverage, right? And we've talked about this. And the Jets just seem to be getting burnt. If there's a mistake to get burnt on, then the Jets get burnt on it. And unfortunately for them, I don't remember which, where that came in the sequence of shots, but of course there was a disparity there, right?
I think it was 5-1 at that point, something like that. It was the Jets had a decent enough lead on them.
Right. And so, yeah, you're right, Ezzy. You're not going to blame Connor Hellebuyck on that one. It's just you're watching the defense and you're thinking to yourself, like, and look, Josh Morrissey and Dylan Sandberg have been the Jets' 2 best defensemen. So it's not something we're used to criticizing them for. But at the same time, like, you're sitting there going, what is going on here with this Jets defense? Like, it's peculiar. And obviously both those guys are used to playing left side. And so maybe, a little bit of getting caught out of position a little bit, but it's not a great look for a Jets team. That is, again, you're going up against a goaltender who's and Joel Hofer is a good goaltender. We're not criticizing him, but he's only playing in his 4th NHL game.
Yeah, he's got potential, and the Blues have a lot of hope for him, but he's playing in his.
It's not Marty Brodeur in that, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So anyway, I'm just sorry. I was trying to get an update on Declan Chisholm, who got hurt in the or got hit pretty bad in the Moose game. So I didn't get an update. I tried to get one for the folks, but I don't have one for the Minute Moose Minute. Sorry about that.
Well, forgive me.
I was working the phones. I was working the phones as we speak, as we do this recap. But look, I mean, it's just and Drew, you said it in your very, very long preamble.
Thank you.
But the fact of the matter is, this is a Jets team that has given up has been playing from behind. Mm-hmm. And look, Ezzy, this is a 2017-18 Jets team. I can't tell you how many times that team played from behind. And Ezzy and I were sitting in the press box together, and we'd be watching these games, and we're like,
they would find a way to tie the game up and then win the game.
Always.
Right?
It was never
it's such a deflated. It's just such like, again, I mean, none of us like talking about this. Like, we wish we were talking about a win here, but it's just like, nobody watching that game thought that the Jets were going to storm back and win this game, right? Like, it didn't seem like it was in them. Maybe
Well, after the power play, when the power play, when Torrey Krug lost his mind at the 13:24 mark of the first period and managed to take 26 minutes in penalties there, he got a 2 for roughing, 10-minute game misconduct, 10-minute misconduct, and another 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike
That's what Theo
conduct.
Fleury used to do back in the day.
Yeah, well, and Theo was going through a few issues there, if you recall correctly.
Sure.
When Torrey Krug took those penalties and certainly hurt his team in doing so, because I still don't know what he was mad about, and the Jets did nothing. And it's one thing if you don't score on the power play. Fine. You want to score, you should score. If you don't score, but you control the play and you're doing all the right things like they did yesterday in Nashville. It took them a while to score in Nashville, but there was no question that they were doing the right things in that game.
Sure.
They weren't doing the right things in tonight's game. And I know the Corsi was in their favor. Yeah, the Corsi was in their favor because, they have more talent than the St. Louis Blues. But at no point, it was all perimeter. It wasn't, it wasn't dominant like it was yesterday, where you felt like the Jets were going to eventually, get one past UC Soros.
And Nate Schmidt twice, had point shots that hit the post, right? And I thought Schmidt was good tonight.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, is that the point in the season we're at, game 71, when we're, we have our fingers crossed and we're just hoping that puck goes in? Like, it's unbelievable the lack of finish on this team. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely.
Are you calling for Ville Heinola to be recalled? Is that what you're saying?
No, but I wouldn't mind seeing Jansen Harkins, and I've seen a lot of people in the chat and on social media, and I was talking to you about this off air, Dave, like, it's probably, if the Jets are going to call somebody up, it's going to be Harkins or Jeff Malott, right?
It doesn't matter. I mean, those guys aren't going to be the ones who are going to turn the tide on this season.
Don't you besmirch the names of Jansen Harkins, Jeff Malott, or anybody else on this broadcast.
But you know very well what I'm talking about. Those guys are going to put out a yeoman's effort, and they might get a goal or two or whatever else, but they're not going to be the ones
who
are
a goal or two would be welcome.
I'm like, Drew, I got bad news for you. This team's basically been shut out in all their games. So,
right. Look, I'm not. You're right. A goal or two for this team.
May not want to turn your nose up at a goal or two.
It would be manna from heaven. You're not right. You're
Dave,
not wrong.
Make it happen. Get Jeff Malott and Jansen up again.
But
I'll make a phone call. Although, by the way, don't forget about, and I'll save this for the Manuk Moose Minute, but Dominic Toninato, he's got 5 goals in his last 4 straight. He's had career highs. Jansen Harkins career highs. Jeff Malott. I mean, look. It doesn't matter about the personnel. These guys are just the same talent level as everybody else in the third and fourth lines. I think the point of the chat, and I think what Ezzy's saying, Drew, is you want to see guys playing with heart.
Yes.
You want to see guys playing.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's Jansen Harkins or Kevin Stenlund. But the fact of the matter is, like Jeff Malott, every one of his goals, he's standing in front of the fucking net. Like, you're watching him and he tips a shot because he's standing in front of the net. Dominic Toninato goes to the front of the net.
Mm-hmm.
All these guys go to the front of the net. They go to the hard places. They're not perimeter. Everybody on the Jets plays from the perimeter. Every shot is from the perimeter.
So, the fact of the matter is, these guys are earning their money, right? And these guys are trying to win hockey games for the Moose, and they're hoping they get called up.
I mean,
right?
guys, look, let's put it this way. I don't want to make a Ginsburg prediction, but the Manitoba Moose are the team in Winnipeg, and the Winnipeg Ice are the teams you're going to be watching play in the playoffs long past the Winnipeg Jets based on what we've seen this season.
No, I don't know how.
So again, don't turn your nose up at the Moose, because this may very well become a Moose post-game show come middle of April.
Look, I don't know how anybody was going to disagree with that assessment. You're right. The Moose and the Ice are playing far better hockey and are going to be playing far longer into the postseason than the Winnipeg Jets are, if the Jets even make it there. I just think about the Jets power play when Krug went nuts. I mean, and then contrast that with the Blues power play. And they had a few power play opportunities in this game. They didn't score on the power play either. But you just still think about how their puck movement looked versus the Jets puck movement. First of all, it's just so static, and it's and I know we can't keep talking about it.
Let's get into the second goal.
Okay, yeah, it's driving everybody insane to keep talking about it. It just nothing changes on it. It's just wild.
This is old school Drew's cold hard rants. Like, this is akin to 2012 when Drew wanted the lockout to be over. You remember that, Dave? And he was just sick of hearing.
I think Drew's about to be hoisted by his own petard in a second. So we'll see.
All my old
Great
articles.
reference.
All my old
That's going way
articles
back.
are available on illegalcurve.com if you want to see what it used to be like when I used to take my my verbal assassinations
Yes.
and put pen to paper. Nathan Walker gets his second of the season. It's at the 10:34 mark of the second period. Justin Falk and Logan Brown are the assist getters on this one, and Dylan DeMello loses Nathan Walker. I mean, this is not a dangerous rush.
No.
The Blues didn't have very many dangerous rushes, but this is not a dangerous rush as long as you stay with your guy and as long as you tie up a stick. And Dylan DeMello is by and large a very good defenseman for the Winnipeg Jets. He knows his role. He plays it well. He got beat on this one, and Nathan Walker beats him, but and it's 2-0 halfway through the second period, and now the Winnipeg Jets are really trying to push the boulder uphill, because for all the difficulty they had against the Nashville Predators yesterday, they were never down by 2 goals. And now they're down by 2 goals. You're at the halfway point of the game. How are they going to respond? But first, the breakdown on the goal, Ezzy.
Yeah, well, you literally just said what it was, right? Like, no, but it's true, right? Like Nathan Walker, yeah, that was his second of the year, right? Like he's a good story, right? He's been around for a long time, played in the NHL and the AHL, but like this is just kind of it's kind of mind-boggling, and Dylan DeMello is the Jets' best defensive defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just no I don't know, if he just thought Nathan Walker was going behind the net or what it was, because he knew Nathan Walker was behind him, Dave, right? And it was actually 2-on-3. The Jets, because Morrissey was there to basically take, if somebody was going to be driving to the net.
Appleton's back there also.
And Appleton, Appleton has his man and he's angling him, to the side.
Yeah. So,
it's not like, it's, you're not going to criticize, Appleton there. Justin Falk was who Falk was Appleton's man. Yeah. If I can get the words out here. But yeah, I mean, look, Nathan Walker just kind of sneaks by. And again, you're not going to blame Hellebuck here, because Walker has a wide open net. It's a nice pass. Falk is a good offensive defenseman. Mm-hmm. Hellebuck's probably thinking, what the Falk?
Well done. Excellent. Thank you. You should take the rest of the show off after that one. Really, really well done there.
You knew as he was just trying to work that one in.
I know. He just had to he was just building up.
I've been trying to work that one in for the last, 47 minutes now.
Yeah, they just you built up to that one. 2-0 at that point in time. The Jets have more power play opportunities after that. They of course don't do anything on the power play. Braden.
Well, and Drew, look at this comment by Jeff, because Jeff is right. I mean, the pre-scout.
Jeff, just for the people, knows what they're doing.
But just to read it for the people who are doing who are listening on podcast, Jeff indicates the Blues knew what the Jets were doing on the power play before the Jets did. Well, yeah, because they haven't changed. It's still the same. Mm-hmm. It's slow. It doesn't it's not dynamic. The players are just not willing to just change the mindset. And to me, if the players aren't willing to change the mindset, change the players. Yeah. Like there's no excuse. It's not about, I'm not sitting here with secretly wearing a Nikolai Ehlers jersey under my very nice Illegal Curve hoodie. That's not, I don't really care one way or another. If Ehlers on power play 1, power play 2, I just think that the numbers bear out he should be there. But like, do something, because this everybody knows what you're doing. Again, the other teams get paid too, and the other teams get paid to pre-scout your team just as you pre-scout their teams. And the fact of the matter is that this Jets power play, when it could be a difference maker in the time of the season, when you need something to be a difference maker. If the players aren't going to be difference makers, if you have something called the man advantage, then you need to take advantage of that man advantage, not do what the Jets do. Yeah. I mean, again, like I said, and I know I'm going backwards, even though we're already 48 minutes in and we're only in the second period. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, it was that 4-minute power play was abysmal. Well, it really was abysmal. Like you watched it and you're thinking to yourself, like, what, like, how is it that the Jets?
How is it getting worse?
Well,
right? Like,
look what I tweeted.
How could be something dreadful be getting worse?
I tweeted it. I mean, the Jets power play, and I tweeted it after the 4-minute man advantage, the Torrey Krug debacle. Yeah. I said the Jets power play is 5 players working as individuals attempting hope plays, because that's all that was. There was no continuity there.
I had no idea you were a poet, Drew.
Thank you. I also write greeting cards and I do haiku on the side. But
well, can I? And let me just quote a former.
By the way, you're 100% right there, Drew. Like it really is that. It's
Well,
not
Ezzy,
a connected power play.
And you know what, as it's kind of like, and I'm just going to quote Pascal Vincent, because what he used to call what Drew just talked about, secret plays. When you're the only one who knows what, now it's not really a secret play because everybody knows what you're going to do in theory. But the fact of the matter is this team is it's just so telegraphed. It really is. I guess actually it has nothing to do. I just wanted to drop a Pascal Vincent reference, but the fact of the matter is it's so telegraphed what this team is going to do. And again, nobody in front of the net. Like, who's in front of the net? I mean, everybody is on the perimeter. And I'm sitting there going, okay. And again, if you attack them with speed, think about it, going back all the way to the San Jose Sharks game, when the Sharks attacked the Jets power play with speed and the Jets didn't have an answer for it.
The penalty kill of the Sharks, you mean?
Well, I'm saying, yeah, of course, the Sharks penalty on the Jets power play.
Aggressive, yes.
We're not talking about the Jets penalty kill. We're talking about the Jets power play. Yeah. So the fact is that the Sharks attacked them with speed. The Jets didn't have an answer because they're not, again, Rick Bowness is talking about it. It's good to talk about it. It's good to say, yeah, we need to play with speed. We need to whip that puck around. Don't stop. I mean, the crazy part is the craziest part is the fact that this team has played together for as much as they have. They shouldn't need time to make decisions. They should know where Josh Morrissey is going to be. They should know where Blake Wheeler is going to be. They should know where Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, all of these guys, Pierre-Luc Dubois. You know where these guys are. You've played together enough times. And yet they're slow. They're methodical. They're taking too much time. And again, every team knows how to anticipate it and kill it right now.
And predictable isn't necessarily a bad thing if you are damn good at being predictable. The Washington Capitals power play has been predictable, with Alex Ovechkin, in the Ovechkin one-timer spot. It's been predictable for the last, decade plus. The difference is it's better than, even though you can predict what's going to happen, it's still better than your penalty kill.
Also, they won a Stanley Cup in 2018.
Well, that too. The Jets penalty kill is both, or the Jets power play is both predictable and bad. It's like, so no wonder it's not going to succeed. It's because, everything you're doing is just so obvious, but you're not doing it well even. It's just frustrating, as you can sort of hear in all of our voices, and we can read in all the comments in the chat.
Ooh, the comments are fired up. The chat is fired up.
We are the voice of the chat. We are the voice. We are the people.
We are, especially when there needs to be accountability. Sometimes the chat is more ready to burn people at the stake than we are, because there's a time and a place for it, and you can't go back to that after every single loss in the course of a season. But tonight's loss was just that bad by the Winnipeg Jets.
I just think, again, like I see a few people, making comments about, that we weren't critical of Ehlers enough and we're being too critical of Mark Scheifele. Like, Mark Scheifele's not a little boy anymore. Mark Scheifele, last time I checked, how old is he? 29, 30 years old. Like, he is paid money to score goals, be a leader on this team, be one of the best players, and he wasn't tonight. Has he had a good year offensively? Yes. But, defensively, how many times have we talked about, his performance? And again, it's not just on him, right? Like, it's not just on him. And Kyle Connor wasn't good enough tonight. Pierre-Luc Dubois was not good enough tonight.
Exactly.
Right? There's a lot of guys that were not good enough tonight, but I think I would put Scheifele at the top of the list.
Mark Scheifele to me is at the top of the list of guys who were not good enough by far. And in case you were wondering, he didn't speak to the media.
What was he asked for?
I don't know. I don't know the details. I don't know. I don't know any of that. But
anyway, no, I was going to say, and coincidentally, and just
I don't even really care about that, because I almost assume he's not going to talk anymore.
Right? Well, who cares anyways? But who cares what any of these guys have to say after a game? But the fact is, coincidentally, and just a little bit of interesting. You'd think that maybe it would have had a little bit of an impact, but he played his 713th game as a Winnipeg Jet. Of course, the first ever draft pick, as he was at that draft in St. Paul back in 2011. He's the first ever, and he played his 713th game, which matched Dale Hawerchuk, his idol, his mentor, and his coach, and of course the former Winnipeg Jets 1.0 great for the number of games worn in a Winnipeg Jets uniform. So, anyways, little Jets 1.0, Jets 2.0 knowledge there for the folks in the chat.
There you go. The goal scoring is wrapped up at the 12-minute mark of the third period. Jacob Vrana, who was available on waivers earlier this year, and of course was acquired by the Blues, I believe, for a 5th round pick, if I'm not mistaken, some very low
prospect
low
and a 5th rounder. Yeah.
Was that what it was? Okay.
I thought those were actually, honestly, Drew, you watch him play tonight and the way he scored on the breakaway, you're like, why weren't more teams trying to claim him off waivers?
Well, obviously he was in the player assistance program earlier this year when he was with the Red Wings. Oh, I know he's a good player.
He's a good offensive player.
I know. So I don't know, but I don't know the ins and outs and the particulars of what's going on there. But look, he can play. Even when he was on the Red Wings, he was a player for them. He wasn't just a passenger. He was a guy who could play for the Detroit Red Wings.
Lots of skill.
Yeah, lots of skill. Exactly right. He gets his sixth, assist to Kasperi Kapanen. And that's it. At the 12-minute mark, that was it for tonight's game. If it wasn't already over before that, it's a breakaway. I don't know what you want from Connor Hellebuyck. You don't score any goals. You don't score any goals. What do you want from Connor Hellebuyck, folks? It's just that simple. You have to find a way to get a goal past Joel Hofer. You have to find a way to get a goal past Thomas Greiss. That weird, 2.5 minutes where Hofer's skate blows up and they have to bring in Greiss. And
which cost him the shutout, by the way.
Yeah, which as a result means that it's not considered a shutout for Joel Hofer, which is really weird and bizarre and one of those NHL rule book quirks, but look, just a terrible night for the Winnipeg Jets. That's just being as blunt as
really
is.
It really is
a terrible night for the Winnipeg Jets,
and they can still make the playoffs, and I still think they will. And I think most people, I should say, I think we would probably get varied opinions on that based on how they've played as of late. Right, there's been a lot of losses. That's been well documented. But you're going to have to win, more games than you would have if you won this game. That's the whole thing, right? Like if you would have picked up 4 points in Nashville and Missouri, you would have, it would have been a lot easier for you to lock down that last wild card spot, Dave, right? But now the Flames have a game in hand, and it's not going to be easy to beat the Kings tomorrow. But
they play the. Wait, are you talking about the Jets or?
No, he's talking about the Flames.
Oh, you're talking about the Flames.
The Flames play the Kings, and then who else did they play? The Ducks. I forget.
Ducks. Yeah.
So the Flames Tuesday night, before Tuesday's night Jets game has started, they could only be 2 points above the Flames.
Yeah. Well,
and and again, as
that's close. That's as close as it gets, really.
But not only that, what
1 point would be closer.
The craziest part is you had the potential to be 7 points up.
Yeah.
And look, and with Nashville getting just pummeled today,
it
was like Nashville was done at this point, right? I think we all agree.
Good night, Irene.
Yeah, they're done. So I'm not saying it's not impossible, but I'm saying they're most likely with losing to the Jets and losing the way they did. It seems more likely, especially with the strength of schedule, continuing to be difficult for Nashville. So Nashville's likely done. But again, you could have had the opportunity for Calgary, who had a lead against Dallas, blew it, only got a single point out of yesterday's game, and then have a tough game tomorrow against the Kings team, who I said on yesterday's show, they're the hottest team in the Western Conference, I think, even more than Minnesota.
Okay, somebody's got to put up that comment from Chris Thiessen. Sorry, send Wheeler to Arizona, reunite the Lad Little Wheeler line.
You're right, Dave, but you're right.
Sorry, Dave. I just saw a puffy tail and got excited.
Yeah, but Dave, you're not wrong. The Jets knew coming into today's game, they knew that a win puts them 6 up.
Yeah.
Puts them 6 up. It ties them with the Seattle Kraken for the first wild card spot.
Yeah.
They knew that. They didn't have to scoreboard watch. They got to scoreboard watch Calgary and Dallas last night.
Mm-hmm.
It was there for the taking. And 6 points in this day and age in the NHL is a significant number to overtake. And this is what they come up with. That's why it's inexcusable. It's there for the taking, and the Jets just played patty cake and sent it right back to the Calgary Flames and said, no, you can have it. And we'll see if
I don't think either team wants it, to be honest with you.
Has anybody actually ever played patty cake? People always talk about patty cake, but does anybody actually play it?
Bakers, man. Bake me. What kind of dad are you? Don't you never play patty cake with your kids?
I'm reading Shakespeare with my kids, Drew.
Yeah.
Show's over, Shakespeare.
Yeah, there you go. 8-2 Brute. And then he went. The Winnipeg Jets lose 3-0 tonight to the St. Louis Blues. The Seagram shot of the game, I guess maybe we'll give it to Nikolai Ehlers in his attempted fight. There were no shots that were really on goal that were worthwhile. So maybe Nikolai Ehlers attempting to take a shot at Braden Shen's jaw will be our Seagram shot of the game. Seagram's 83, Manitoba Manitoba's favorite Canadian whiskey. I know a lot of people who were turning to the bottle while watching tonight's Jets Blues game. Seagram's proud sponsor here of the Illegal Curve post-game show, available at your local liquor mart or wherever fine liquor products are sold. Big thanks to Seagram's for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show.
I did do a 100-piece puzzle with Ariella recently.
Are you good at jigsaw puzzles?
I was never a puzzler.
Yeah.
But my daughter, Ariella, she loves doing puzzles. So
Right.
the fact that she loves it gets me into it.
Yeah, okay.
So I really love the Ravensburger line of products.
Okay, well, thank you there. For a plug for the Ravensburger type of jigsaw puzzles, officially endorsed by Ezra Ginsburg. Oh, hang on, I'm getting word. Yes, their stock has plummeted horrendously, is what just happened. We'll be back.
Has been puzzling.
It's like HQ trivia.
That's right. HQ trivia. Wow, that's a deep cut you're pulling back out there. I haven't heard anyone reference HQ
There was something
trivia
on
in a
CNN
long time.
about the fall of HQ trivia, so that's why it was just fresh in my mind.
CNN? Well, how the hell did you end up on CNN? What happened to your... Did you sit on the remote and couldn't find it for a little while? What happened there?
Every now and again, I like to tune into Anderson.
There you go. Much more to come. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg with you on this Sunday evening.
Smash the like button.
Yeah, exactly. Smash the like button. We'll be right back.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy. Everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come on, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. $9:45. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Our weekend full of shows is rapidly coming to a conclusion. We thank everyone for joining us for all of them. We'll wrap it up here with some contests and some Moose news and all that good jazz, but we'll be back at it on Tuesday night as the Jets and the juggernaut Arizona Coyotes will do battle in downtown Winnipeg.
By the way, thanks to Bailey, as always, our official intern, for providing these quotes. But that quote could have easily come from a week ago or 3 months ago.
Well, that's a quote of a coach who's out of ideas. That's the quote of a coach who doesn't know what more to do.
Should we be reading the quote, Drew? You should be reading the quote for the people who are watching the podcast or listening on the podcast.
I love how Dave is always thinking of the podcast.
He's right, though.
Because we have our chat people, and our podcast people. Some do both, right?
Yeah.
But we always have to think about the podcast people.
And I appreciate it because the folks who listen to the podcast are religiously listening to that podcast. And if I don't get it up right away, there's a lot of consternation among the IC Nation. But it's actually helped me because I think it was after the Tampa one, for whatever reason, I had posted it, thought it was out, and tweeted it, blah, blah, blah. And then the next morning, people are like, Dave, what gives? I'm waiting for I want to listen to the podcast. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's been up. And I go and check. I'm like, it's not up. What's going on? Gadzooks. So I went and I checked. Sure enough,
I like EGADS.
Regardless, I got it up quickly. And then sure enough, people are able to listen to me and Drew talk about that Jets Tampa Bay game.
I can't, honestly, the games have been it's just a blur. I couldn't even tell you what I said on that post-game show.
Every day is Groundhog Day, right, Drew?
Yeah, a little bit. Rick Bonus, I talk a lot about timely goals. Those are the goals that give you that boost and get you going again. That's from the Jets head coach.
I talk a lot about timely goals. Like, I want one goal.
Yeah. Continuing, when it doesn't go in, you've just got to stay in the fight and keep pushing. So we're back to the stay in the fight expression.
The only thing it was missing was, as long as we stick together, we'll be all right.
Yeah. Rick Bonus, we came out of the gate great. Yes, they did for the first 5 minutes. Then they gave up a goal, and that was the end of that right there.
What are they, horses?
Well, and they did start right. And the thing is, that to me is not coaching. Like when you're rolling like the Lowry Barron line and actually Barron was on the fourth line. I'm not sure if he played the whole game there, but I guess I was watching. I should know that, but I'm a little bit, I sometimes get distracted. But I mean, the effort that you saw in the first 3 or 4 minutes wasn't consistent throughout the game, right? Mm-hmm. And that to me is not on coaching. And that is on the players there. And, you like, the offense that the Jets generated at times, but how happy can you be with it when they didn't score any goals?
Rick Bonus, we had the forecheck going. We hit the crossbar on a tip. We were jamming the net. We were doing all of the things we had talked about. And then they go down and score. We didn't handle it very well from that point. So you have a little bit of adversity and you immediately curl up in the fetal position. I mean,
but Drew, that's what I said about Ezzy and I when we'd watched the previous iterations of this Jets team. It was never you never thought about that. You thought, as he would say to me, the Jets would be down like
that's what happens goals in hockey, Dave. Like a team, you get a lot of chances, you don't score. A team scores, so you go back and score it. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, to me, Bones is just narrating what happened in the game there.
Yeah, but like I said, it's crazy because back in the day we'd watch these games and you'd be like, okay, like the Jets are still going to win. You'd say that to me. You'd be like, all right, they're down 2 goals, 3 goals. This team can win. This team doesn't have that same gumption, if you will. And it's just, you're never thinking, okay, they're going to get back into this game and win this game. I could tell you about another team that I think can do that.
After we give away a Tough Duck Toque, we're going to give it away to Ezzy, who is the winner of tonight's Tough Duck Toque.
Yeah, we're going to give it to Dan Miller. You got the comment up.
Before you go any further, I need to know if this is the same Dan Miller who sent me a tweet calling me a jackass about an hour ago. So I want to know if it's the same Dan Miller. Because Dan, look, you can call me a jackass. I just ask you to treat me with a little bit more respect and do what Dave and Ezzy do, and that's call me Mr. Jackass. That's
I'm like, what are you talking about?
I ask of you.
That's
is
funny.
Just to call
I didn't know
Mr.
that there was a.
You guys, oh no, Dan Miller's defending himself, saying no, not the same.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for not calling me a
Well, I was going to
jackass.
say Dan Miller, I imagine there's other Dan Millers out there.
Yeah, I'm sure
Right?
there are.
So-
I just didn't know. I just had a Dan Miller call me a jackass. so I
Don't
didn't
paint
know it was
all
me.
Dan Millers with one brush, Drew.
I'm not.
Yes.
I would never do
Especially,
anything of the sort.
especially a Dan Miller who is a Tough Duck hardest hitting comment winner, Drew.
There you go.
But Ezzy doesn't know that. Had Ezzy known that if it was the same Dan
As
Miller,
he still,
probably
for the
would've-
record, as he still would have selected Dan Miller if
he
it
would
was
have
the
given
same.
him 2 Tukes. He would have given him 2 Tukes for calling me a jackass.
Anyways, are you going to read the comment or what?
Yeah, there we go. I heard a stat a few weeks back that over the previous month, the Jets' top 6 was a minus 57. That says it all. Not willing to play tight D and can't score. And really, that to me is really kind of sums up what the problem in this game was. Let's forget the whole you need depth scoring and you need everything like that. Like, this was a game in which your best players had to be your best players. That's your top 6, and they just weren't tonight. And I think that was obvious to anybody watching this game. I don't think they were that great yesterday either.
No,
Right? Like, and that's a real concern when you're at game 70, game 71 of the season. But Dan, send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com with your mailing address, and Tough Duck will ship out a toque to you.
There you go. Congratulations to this Dan Miller, who does not think that I'm a jackass, or maybe he does. He just hasn't called me a jackass on Twitter very recently. So, either way, good on you, Dan Miller. Dave, the Illegal Curve merchandise contest for tonight's game. The way to enter the merchandise contest, you hit the drop down arrow on the YouTube channel. You go to our website, you click the link, you'll see the contest page. There's a whole bunch of things you can do to gain entries into the merchandise contest, including one of them is entering the unique code word that you can only get after each and every Winnipeg Jets game here on the YouTube channel or on the podcast version of the show. Today's unique code word, Hofer Mania.
That's
not
awesome,
quite
Dave.
WrestleMania. That's about 2 weeks away, but Hofer Mania in honor of Joel Hofer, the goalie who got the shutout that wasn't a shutout tonight against the Winnipeg Jets.
World Junior gold medalist, Drew.
There you go. From
And
Winnipeg,
Winnipegger,
of course.
boys.
Yeah, exactly.
And Winnipegger.
Oh, yeah. Well, we
Hofer-
already mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, Hofer,
You can't never
Hofer, Mania,
mention.
Mania. Can you stop interrupting me when I'm trying to read out the word there, Manuk?
And Ginsburg, as he jumped in there too. For the record.
Okay. And then who's the merchandise winner, Dave?
Well, put their name up. James Ham. James Ham, good friend of the show.
That's not kosher.
I knew you were going to say
It
that.
is not. His name is not kosher, but that's all good. We still win him. He's still the winner, I should say, of the Illegal Curve merch contest. So well done to James Ham. Thank you for entering. And like Drew said, everybody else get your entries. One way you can enter: go on the podcast, leave a comment on the podcast. Let me know that you've left a comment on the podcast, and you'll get bonus entries. So just a thought, folks. Doesn't have to be a positive comment. We prefer them. But just let us know what you think. Let other people know what you think. It's a good way to help spread the word of Illegal Curve.
And boys, we're getting some breaking news here. Spency's saying that his dad, Joel Hofer's dad, Steve Hofer, is his piling guy. So I'm curious to know if Steve Hofer is Drew's piling guy, because Drew obviously has piling money.
Aren't you the guy who's getting the foundation of his house fixed right now?
No, it's done.
Oh, good. How was that?
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be okay. I mean, it's been winter, Drew, so we're not getting any water in our basement in winter. But I think that hopefully the job that Sneaky Leaks did worked.
Okay, well, fingers crossed that Ginsburg isn't shop vacuuming out the basement during the post-game show. Well, there won't be a post-game show.
I have to do
at
that
point in
again.
time.
I did that for many, many hours. That last April was not fun here.
No, it certainly wasn't. You're not alone in that phenomenon of
Spencer, you're right,
happens
by
when-
the way. River
What
Heights
happens when
is
you
a
build on a
guarantee.
swamp?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Muck.
Shouldn't.
It's muck.
Yeah, it's one thing. It's one thing for that our ancestors stopped here, particularly those who stopped here in the winter. It's another thing that then they built on the swampland as well. So maybe they're over two in
we can't
familial
all live
decisions.
in Tuxedo where the streets are paved with gold.
I don't live in Tuxedo, Ezra.
You did,
I live in
you did.
Crescentwood. Yes, but I don't live.
Yeah, we
in
know
Tuxedo.
that's where you snub Murat.
Yes,
I
that's
just
right,
have an
exactly.
inferiority complex to Drew and Tuxedo. Let's be honest.
I don't live in Tuxedo. You don't have to have an inferiority complex to me.
I know.
I don't live there. You
I'm
have an
just
inferiority
bugging you.
complex to a lot of other people, but not me. You have or let me
Childhood neighborhood.
Let me rephrase. If you want to have an inferiority complex to me, there's a lot of other things that you can feel inferior about, just not the fact that I live
Such
in
as your
Tuxedo.
success.
There you go. My other successes. Exactly right. Things of that nature. My millions of dollars, as we like to say
Love it.
on the Grid Park commercial. Dave M., let's wrap up this weekend full of shows as we can only do.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Well, hello. Let's talk some Moose hockey. The Moose concluding a 7-game set that started in Abbotsford. They went to Iowa, stopped for 1 game in Rockford, concluded with 2 against the Chicago Wolves, beat them, pummeled them a little bit, although the game was a little bit closer to score indicated. 6-1 yesterday in Chicago, and the Moose were looking to end it. That made them 2-2 and 2 on this road trip, and they were looking to end it with a good effort in Chicago. A couple lineup moves. Daniel Torgerson came out, the Jets 2020 second rounder. Wyatt Bongiovanni drew in for him, and then Jimmy Olney, the captain, and Ashton Sautner from John's hometown of.
There you go.
Why am I forgetting? Why am I blanking?
Flint to Betty Flanagan.
Flint to Benny Flanagan. Yeah. Came in for Tyrell Bauer, Sorry T. Konopoli, and Dean Stewart. And of course, Oskari Salminen got the net from Arvid Holm, who had it in yesterday's win. Unlike in yesterday's game, no quick scoring for either team. No scoring, in fact, in that first period. But when the scoring got underway, it was Dominic Toddonato, one player we've been talking about, who set a career high in goals yesterday. Well, he added to that with his 16th of the season. He has 5 goals in his last 6 games, and he's a little bit on fire, playing up on that top line with the Manitoba Moose. And then when the Chicago tied it, and then Tyler Boland, I think it was his 8th goal of the season, he ripped the shot. Jimmy only picked up his first point of the game. But like in some other games during this road trip, the Moose gave up the lead and were fighting to come back. And unlike the Jets, of course, with the extra man on the ice for the Moose, they ended up tying it. Jansen Harkins, again, much like Tornado, he also has set a new record for goals, did in 40 less games than when he had it in, I think it was 18-19. But he got his 17th of the year, and that tied the game late in the third period. Harkins had a chance actually to end the game in OT, had a really nice play, just shot it just wide. Game went to Ezzy's favorite thing called the shootout. And in the third round, after neither team had scored in the first 2, Cole Meyer, the alternate captain, he scored a nice snipe up top corner. And then Oskari Salminen made the stop. So the Moose went 3-2-2 on this road trip, and they improved to 33-19, 5-3 during the on the season. And they were temporarily in second place. I think they jumped ahead of Milwaukee, but Milwaukee, I think, either won or got a point. I'm not sure what but they basically are now they're 1 point back of both Milwaukee and Texas, who are in first place. So it is a very tight three-way race. Three-way
Wabbit.
That Wascally Wabbit. Three-way race.
Wacy Rabbit, former IC guest.
Former IC guest.
Yeah.
So look, the Jansen Harkins is doing well. Dominic Toninato is doing well. Jeff Malot's doing well. We've talked about it. This whole crew, Alex Limoges doing well. Like, these guys are producing for the Manitoba Moose. The defense is getting it done. And I was looking something up. Sorry, I was looking at the standings to see exactly for the folks who are listening on the podcast. So the Milwaukee Admirals, Texas Stars have 75 points with 60 games played. The Manitoba Moose have 60 games played, 74 points. They're 1 point back. And then Iowa is 7 points back. And Moose have 2 games in hand on them. So it's a 1-2-3 race between those 3 teams. Sorry, for the top 3 spots. They'll jockey around for position, and we'll see how it ends up. Wouldn't it be something if the Moose end up having to play Milwaukee again in a first round of a playoff series? Wouldn't that be something? But regardless, a lot of excitement with the Moose the Jets Farm Club, and things are happening down there. And again, like I said, I didn't have an update on Declan Chisholm, who had a bad hit in this game, and I'm not certain why Daniel Torgerson wasn't playing. So I'll see if I can get an update on that as well. And we'll hopefully have that for the Moose are traveling tomorrow. I believe they're off on Tuesday, but I'll see if I can work my sources and get some information for folks to find out what's going on with those two guys.
And just
And all
if I can
the-
jump, yeah, sorry, go
I
ahead.
was
Drew.
going to say, and when Dave gets that information, all the updates will be available on illegalcurve.com.
I should actually check to see. Sorry, as I not to interrupt, you can finish your thought, but I was just going to say I should actually check to see if the Illegal Curve tickets machine is turned on right now, because I want to make sure we don't have tickets to give away for the next game. Which is our next game? Well, as you can finish your thought, then I'll tell the folks.
All I was
we
going
have
to
one.
say was,
Isn't it Wednesday? You can give the tickets away on Tuesday.
yeah, let's do it Tuesday, Dave. I was really a lot less depressed when you were talking about the Moose and the fact that they win, and just hearing you talk about their success made me feel a lot better. This is going to be my only opportunity to probably ever address this on Illegal Curve, but Rob Noakes just brought up Reed Simpson, who's of course very tough, played for the Devils and other teams from Flin Flon. He's a pro scout for the Habs, and I got a chance to actually talk to him and mention this to him. Reed Simpson's mom was a dancer in my dad's high school band, if you can believe that. Because
Really?
dad's from Flin Flon. So, yeah, I mean, my dad knows Reed Simpson's parents really well, right? So just thought I'd get that in for Rob Noakes. I think he'll like that one. That, yeah, for those who didn't know, he's a pro scout for the Habs. At least last time I was aware he was a pro scout for the Habs.
Oh, it's nice that one of the pro scouts we know still talks to you. The other one wants nothing to do with you.
I saw Richie today. It was great. We had a great little chat.
That's nice.
Well, for the folks who are wanting to go to a Moose game, I can't tell because I don't know why my Ticketmaster thing is my login isn't working. But once I figure out how to log back in, I will know. And as Drew said, the first game of 8, I believe, that the Moose are going to be playing. They are won't be until Wednesday.
Yeah.
And so they're playing. Who are they playing? They're playing Rockford. So they've got 2 against Rockford Wednesday and Friday, and then Laval, and then Abbotsford, and then
Grand
Rapids. Should be fun, but the Moose can do some damage, and again continue to go on a run. And quickly, I should mention the Winnipeg Ice made history today. They set the record for the most wins in a 68-game season for a WHL club. So they got their 55th win, beating Prince Albert, who was the previous record holder at 54.
Congratulations to the Ice. That's an impressive achievement, as they have their eyes firmly set on the Memorial Cup this season. Well, gentlemen, that has been 1, 2, 3 shows since 9 a.m. yesterday. So that's a lot of good work on all of our parts, and a lot of good work on the parts of all of you in our listening and viewing audience. We always appreciate you joining us throughout our Saturday show and our post-game shows. We also want to say a big thank you to our sponsors, as Frosty Winnipeg put it up on the screen. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, they're the title sponsor of the post-game show, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, leave us feedback here, there, everywhere, including iTunes and other places like that. Always love getting the feedback on our podcast feed as well. We appreciate all the support you fine folks show us on a night in, night out basis. All the latest Winnipeg Jets news is available on illegalcurve.com. We're back in action Tuesday night. We're going to take tomorrow off, but we'll be back in action Tuesday night following the Jets and the Arizona Coyotes, the latest in a series of must-win games as the Jets look to flush the stink of tonight's debacle. They lose 3-0 in St. Louis. For Ezra Ginsburg, for Dave Manouk, I'm your host, Drew Mindell. Until Tuesday night at 9:45, we wish you good night and good luck, and thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.